high above a quiet field where the wheat sways like a sea of golden sighs, tucked in the crooked elbow of an old elm tree. A nest balances on a prayer and a bundle of twigs. Inside, 3 hatchlings huddled beneath their mother's warmth, featherless, trembling, and yet already buzzing with thoughts no scientist has dared believe exist. For this is not just a nest, but a cradle of first thoughts. And today is the day the oldest chick, called Lumabig, begins to understand that the sky is not just the roof of the world, but the beginning of her story. Her eyes, only recently opened, reflect a blue so endless it frightens her. Round her, the wind weaves strange lullabies through the leaves, and the scent of morning dew clings to the bark like perfume on an old coat. Luma watches her mother's wings with a fascination bordering on reverence. They move like poetry, each feather speaking of distance and trust, of updrafts and daring. But the nest, though small, is safe. It is made of familiar scratchings and the breath of her kin. It is warm and known. The air beyond, it is promise and peril. Her brother Pip is a dreamer. He chirps often about what he imagines lies beyond the tallest tree. Lakes that shine like mirrors, flowers so tall they tickle the sun. But he does not know fear like Luma does. Her heart is not woven of adventure, but of questions. What if her wings do not catch the wind? What if the sky, in all its vastness, has no place for her? The youngest sibling, Finch, barely speaks. His eyes are always closed, as though he listens to secrets that the air has not yet whispered. Their mother, known only as Ma, brings worms with the patience of a saint and the sternness of a general. She does not explain the sky. She simply looks at it, then at them, as if to say, "It's coming, be ready." And so the question begins to burn in Luma's chest like the first light of dawn. What do birds know before they fly? And more terrifyingly, what do they lose the moment they leave the nest? The nest grows tighter with each day. Wings brush awkwardly, beaks clash. Space becomes a currency traded with elbows and squawks. Luma finds herself waking before the others now, not out of eagerness, but from dreams where she falls, not in terror, but in silence, through clouds shaped like questions. Ma watches her more closely. There is an understanding in her gaze, ancient and unspoken. One morning, after feeding, she stays. Not long, just long enough to ruffle Luma's feathers and press her beak gently to her forehead. "You don't have to want it," her eyes seem to say. "You just have to do it." That day, Ma doesn't return. The sky changes. The clouds gather in unfamiliar patterns. Pip chirps with nervous energy, peering over the edge. "Maybe this is it," he whispers. "Maybe today's the day." Finch remains still, eyes closed, as if waiting for something to speak from within. Luma edges forward. The rim of the nest feels like a cliff. Below, branches spiral like arms, either reaching to catch or to crush. The wind lifts her downy chest feathers, and for the first time, she feels the weight of gravity pulling not just her body, but her very soul. What if the nest was a lie, a trick? What if the world was never meant for wings, only falls? Her feet clutch the twig tighter. Pip laughs beside her, wild with excitement. He leaps, not elegantly, not gracefully. He falls at first, then catches a current, then flutters chaotically into the air, a feathered comet trailing hope and panic. Finch opens his eyes. "He's gone," he says, not with sadness, but with certainty. Luma stares after her brother until he is a speck in the distance, lost in the trembling arms of the wind. She does not envy him. She fears him because now the nest feels smaller, not because it shrank, because her world abruptly has not. Night falls. Ma returns. She does not ask where Pip is. She does not mourn. She feeds. She warms. Life goes on. But Luma, curled beside Finch, wonders if there is a part of the nest that never leaves you even when you've left it far behind. The third morning breaks with silence. No chirps, no fluttering leaves, only the still hush of anticipation. Ma is gone before light touches the nest. Finch is staring at the sky. "It called him," he says softly, "and now it calls us." Luma does not move. Her wings are strong enough. She knows this. But her heart still clings to every crack in the twigs, every whisper of warmth from the down that once shielded her from wind and worry. "What if I'm not ready?" she asks. Finch smiles, slow and knowing. "You never are." And then, just like that, he steps out. There is no drama, no farewell, just a soft leap, like a prayer released. Luma watches him disappear into the blue, and suddenly the nest is unbearably quiet. The weight of being the last one left presses on her chest like a stone. Her mother does not return, not that day, not the next. Hunger scratches at her belly, but it is not what drives her to the edge. It is the memory of Pip's laugh, Finch's calm, and the look in Ma's eyes. The world does not wait for readiness. It waits for resolve. With trembling legs, she climbs to the rim. The wind meets her like an old friend, eager, but indifferent. Luma closes her eyes, not to block the fear, but to remember everything. The smell of the nest, the warmth of Ma's feathers, Pip's restless joy, Finch's silent faith. And then she jumps. The air is not soft. It punches her chest, lifts her with fists and fury. Her wings catch, wobble, stutter. The world tilts, then evens, then soars. Below, the nest shrinks into a forgotten shadow. But in her chest, it remains every twig, every whisper, every goodbye. For Luma now knows the truth. Flying doesn't mean leaving the nest behind. It means carrying it with you, always, in the tremble of your feathers and the rhythm of your flight. And as the sky unfolds before her like a map drawn in wind and wonder, she hears for the first time her own voice in the silence. Not afraid, not lost, but finally ready.